there, my name is Kelly Dale and I'm coming at you today from Off the Beaded Path. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week and you're ready to learn a new project. Today I'm going to teach you how to do herringbone stitch. I'm going to teach you how to do this in the round as well. I don't know if you should say it in the round. We're going to be making a hoop earring out of it. It'll be really good to teach you how to use two different sizes of seed beads to do the herringbone stitch with. So today, what you're going to need for the project to make these hoop earrings is you're going to need a size 8 seed bead and a size 11 seed bead. Now this is going to make up the core part of your hoop, so you'll want to make sure, especially on the first couple of pairs that you make, or even the first pair, that you use colors that are totally opposite from each other. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to have a really hard time seeing it, and this project will not be fun. I can guarantee you that. So, two colors, very different, one of an 8, one of an 11. You're going to need 26 4mm bicones and some size 15 seed beads. You're also going to need 4 yards of 6-pound Fireline, and so you'll thread your needle 2 yards at a time. And then just some scissors or cutters, whatever you've got, and a size 10 beading needle. If you want to make these into earrings like I'm going to do, you'll need to use an ear hook or you'll need a pair of ear hooks. But, you know, these are components, so you really could make a lot of stuff with them. You know, don't stop with earrings. So go ahead and get your materials together and then we'll get started. These are the hoop earrings that I'll be showing you how to make today. If you look at them from this side, you see mostly the herringbone. If you look at them from the front side of the earring, you see all the pretty crystals and no herringbone. This is orange with purple and lime green for my crystals. This is a pink, a teal, a cream, and then my crystals on this are actually a cyclamen opal, or no, crystallite opal double AB on these. And then this is my favorite pair I've made so far. This is black with silver line gray, and then a silver or hematite 4mm, and then I use steel, size 15 steel seed beads, and I really like these. These are my favorite. Today though, I'm going to show you this color combination. This is the silver line milky mauve for my 11. My 8 is a silver line milky teal, and my 15s are an opaque light beige, and I'll be using a 4mm fuchsia, regular fuchsia bicone with my needle threaded onto 2 yards of Fireline. I'm going to be using my 8s and 11s to start. I want to pick up one 11 and one 8. I'm going to hold these beads in place, and I'm going to pull the thread down and leave myself just a little bit of a tail. And you want to go right back up through just the size 11 seed bead. We start out the herringbone stitch with a ladder. So this is what's going to start our ladder. So when you pull, you want the size 8 seed bead to sit right next to the size 11 seed bead. Now take your needle and go right back down through the size 8 seed bead that you just added. Pick up one size 8. We want to come right back down through the same size 8 seed bead so that it makes a circle. The 8 will sit right next to the previous 8. Take your needle, go right up through the 8 that we just added, and this gets us in position to add the next bead. Our last bead is a size 11. We want to make a circle, so we're going to come right back up through the same bead that we're coming out of. And then take your needle and come right back down through the size 11 seed bead that you just added. So right now we have our 4 bead ladder, and we want to make sure that we connect these now. So I'm going to fold it in half so that my 11s are laying next to each other. This one here to the left is the very first 11 I added. This one here to the right is the very last 11 I added. I'm going to take my needle and come up through the first 11. And this will connect the bottoms of those 11s. Then I'll take my needle and go down through the last 11. This is what will connect the top of those 11s together. And then to get into position to start the herringbone, I'll come right back up through that first 11 so that now your working thread and your tail are coming out of the same bead. When you look straight down on the piece, you should see 4 holes. You should see the 2 holes in the 8s and the 2 holes in the 11s. That's exactly what you want. Sorry about the phone call, guys, but I'm at work. Okay. I'm coming out of an 11, so I'm going to pick up 2 11s, and I'm going to come right down through the 11 right next to where my thread's coming out. When you pull, the 2 new 11s will sit right on top of the 2 old 11s. I'm going to turn the piece a little bit, and I'm going to come up through the very next size 8 seed bead in my little piece. I'm going to pick up 2 8s. And I'm going to take my needle and go right down through the very next 8. So right now, I have 2 stacks of 11s and 2 stacks of 8s. I'm ready to step up. So to step up, I have to step up through the top 2 11s of my stack. So right now, I only have 2 11s. So I'm going to go right up through the first 2 11s here of my first little stack. Alright, now we'll go back to our regular herringbone. I'm coming out of an 11, so that means I'm going to pick up 2 11s, and I'm going to come down through the 11, but now when you come down, only come down through the top 11. Don't go down through the whole stack. And your beads are going to sit a little at an angle, and that's completely fine. I'm going to come up through the very next 8, and that's the top one here. Pick up 2 8s, and take your needle and come right down through the top 8 of the next stack. Pull this through. Now, I'm ready for my step up, so I have to come up through the top 2 11s of the next stack. Remember, you're always going to step up through 11s, and it's the top 2 11s of the stack. So this is what we've got so far. Your 8s are going to stack up bigger than your 11s, and that's completely fine. They're a bigger bead, and that's what you want them to do. So I'm coming out of the 11, I'm going to pick up 2 11s and go through the top bead of my next stack. I'm going to come in through the top bead of the next stack, which will be my 8. Pick up 2 8s and come down through the top bead of the next stack. Now I'm ready to step up, so I've got to come through the top 2 11s of the next stack. Just remember, on this project, how we're doing it, we'll pick up 2 11s, then 2 8s, and then we're ready to do the step up. So 2 11s, go down through the top 11. Then I'll come up through the top 8 of the very next stack. Then we pick up 2 8s and come down through the top bead of the next stack. And then we're ready for our step up. So when you do your step up, you go through the top 2 11s of the next stack. So as you work, the number stacks of 11s should be the same number as 8s. You want to continue building your stacks until you have 26 rows. Right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and you want 26. As you work, this piece won't stay straight. It'll curve, and that's exactly what you want. Be sure to keep a good tight tension as you work, because if you don't, your piece will be really flimsy and it won't make a good hoop earring. Now that I have my 26 rows, my piece looks like a horseshoe, and even when you pick it up, it pretty much keeps its shape, and that's what you want. Now we have to go with the task of connecting our 2 sides together. Don't make this more complicated than what it is. When I did my last step up, I'm coming out of the 11 here on the left side. To start the connection, I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come straight through the 11 right across from it, which will be the 11 on the same side. If you look, it's on the same inside here. You can go straight through it. So I'm just going to take my needle and come right through just the 11. So that when you pull it, that'll pull those together. Now I'm going to pull it back just a little bit so that you can see here, because now we've got this side of the 11s connected, but we need to get this side of the 11s connected. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to stick it through the center of the opening, and I'm going to flip it around here so that you can see my thread is coming out of the size 11 seed bead here. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come right back up through the seed bead right next to it, going back towards the other side. So let me flip it away around like this again. Okay, so I originally started out coming out of this bead. I went straight across to this bead. Now I'm coming to the size 11 right next to it, and I'm coming through it, going back towards the ending here of the circle, so that when I pull, this is what I've got so far. My side here is connected, but now I have to go, now that I'm coming out of this 11, I've got to go straight across to this 11, so that when you pull, now the 11s are connected on both sides. So if you look at the center here, you can't tell where it started and where it ended. So I'm going to pull it back so that you can see the threads across it there to where we connected it. We'll pull that back tight. All right, so right now my thread is coming out of an 11 and it's coming out towards the right. I've got to connect these 8s up here, so I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come through this very top 8 right above it, and I'm going to go back through it going towards the left, so back the opposite way. So I'm going to go through that bead, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to stick it straight across through the 8 right across from it. And pull, so that that will connect those 8s. And I'm going to hold it from the top here so that you can see. I'm going to come right through the 8 right next to it. And I'm going to go work back in the other direction. So I'm going to go through that 8. And then I'm going to stick my needle through the 8 right across from it. So you're actually going through 2 8s. When you pull, that will connect those 8s. Now, you can see when you flip it over, the only thing you've got left is you've got one little hole right here. And that's because this 8 is not connected to this 11. So all you have to do is take your needle, I'm going to come in a little bit closer, see my hole? I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come through the 11 going in the opposite direction. So see my thread's coming out to the left. So I'm going to go through that bead going towards the right here. So that way it'll connect that side of the bead together. And then I'm going to take the needle and come back through that same 8 going back in the opposite direction. So lots of opposite directions to connect it. But once you get it pulled, now you can't tell where it starts and where it ends. I'm going to go ahead and put a needle onto this tail thread, and I'm going to tie it off, stitch it through a few beads, and trim this tail so it'll get out of my way. Then we'll be ready to add our crystal embellishments around the outside of our ring. Now we're going to do the embellishments. My thread is coming out of an 8 here on the right side, and it's coming in a downward motion. I'm going to pick up one 11. I'm going to go up through the 8 right next to where my thread is coming out, and then through 2 more 8s in that same row. So I'm going to go up through the 8 right next to where my thread's coming out, and then through 2 more 8s. So that when you pull, that 11 is going to pop right there in the center of your little ravine here in the center. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go down through the 8 right next to where my thread's coming out. Pick up one 11, go up through the 8 right next to where your thread's coming out, and then on through 2 more 8s. Pull the thread so that now that gives you 2 seed beads in the center. Take the needle, go down through the 8 right next to where your thread's coming out. Pick up one 11, go up through the 8 right next to where the thread's coming out, and then through 2 more 8s. So that will give you 3 more beads. You want to continue this all the way around. You'll have a total of 13 size 11 seed beads. This is what your piece will look like once you've gone all the way around adding your 11s. This was my last 11 I added. I went up through 3 8s like I normally would, and then down through the next 8. When you do that, that gets you in position to start your next step. I'm going to go straight through the very first size 11 seed bead that I added, and I'm ready to add my crystals. So I'm going to pick up one crystal. I started out my thread going through this bead from right to left, so it's pointing towards the left. So I'm going to go through every size 11 seed bead as I add my crystals, going from right to left in the same direction. When you put your crystal on there, it's going to be sideways. It's okay. We're going to fix that in the next step. Pick up a 4mm, come through the next 11, going from right to left. 4mm, go through the next 11 from right to left. You're going to keep doing that until you've got all your crystals added. This is what your piece will look like now that you have all of the 4mm added. I'm coming out of the last 11. This is the first 4mm that I added. This is the last one that I added. So I'm going to work back down. So I'm going to work in the opposite direction. I'm going to go down through the last 11 that I added, and I'm going to put my fingers on it so that it'll keep it nice and tight where it's at. Then I'm going to go back through the same 11, again going from right to left. And what this is going to do is, if you'll look here on these, there's only one thread here and here. Now we'll have 2 threads. We'll have a thread on each side of the 11 here, and then once I pull this thread through, you'll have a thread on each side of the 11. So that's what straightens up your crystal so it's not wonky. So again, you go down through the crystal, and then through the 11 again, going from right to left, just like you did when we added the crystals. Down through the crystal, go through the seed bead from right to left, and you're going to do this until you get back to that first crystal that you straightened. Once you've gotten, whoa, all right, Sammy, you're going to have to delete that part out. Once you've gotten all of your crystals straightened, now you're ready to add your seed bead embellishments along the sides of the crystals. We don't want to leave this exposed because then you see all these threads here on the size 11 seed beads. So I'm coming out of the 11. I'm going to be using my size 15s, and I'm going to pick up 5 15s. And you can work down or up, whichever way you want, but I've got my 5 15s. I want to loop around the side of my crystal, so I'm going to come right through the 11 right above it and pull so that my 15s loop around this side of the crystal. I'm going to work in a zigzag motion, so I'm going to pick up 5 more 15s. Take the needle and come through the 11 right above the crystal, going in this direction. So that way, each time, it's going to leave a little like zigzag or snake around the crystal. 5 15s. Come through this seed bead right above the 4mm. And just keep working around doing your zigzag. When I come around to do the last zigzag and I go through the last 11, it'll be that very first one that I started with, you'll notice that you'll have 2 sets of 15s right on the same side, and that's completely fine because now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to do the zigzag. And so that way, every side that wasn't covered will now be covered. I'm going to pick up 5 15s. Go through the 11 right above the 4mm so that when I pull it, now I have 15s on each side of the 4mm. 5 15s. Come through the 11 right above the 4mm, and as you can see now it's starting to fix our zigzags, and instead of making them half, now you've got nice sets completely enclosed. If you come through and you see any of your crystals that might not have straightened up, just take your needle and fix those crystals, just straighten them up and continue to zigzag all the way around. Now that you've gone all the way around, you can see that the seed bead embellishments are completed. I'm coming out of the last 11 that I went through. I'm ready to add my bell for my earrings. I'm going to pick up 6 15s. Take my needle and I'm going to go right back through the same 11 that I'm coming out of to make a circle. As you can see, that makes me a little tiny loop of beads. I want to go through the beads one more time to reinforce them. So that means I'm just going to go right back through all 6 seed beads again. And then through the 11. Now you want to tie off the thread with a couple of half hitch knots. Trim the thread and add your ear hook. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to do the herringbone stitch hoop earrings. We will have the color that I showed you today, this fuchsia and teal, and we'll have the black and silver earring kits available on our website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. I'll also have the written pattern available for purchase on the website. And just so you know, I've had a couple of questions from people over the last couple of weeks about the website. If you try to add anything to your cart, whether it be a product or a kit, and it won't let you add it to the cart, it's because we're sold out. Some products say, some don't. We're having issues with Yahoo right now that we're trying to resolve some of these. But anytime you try to add something, if it doesn't add it, then that's why, because it's sold out. You can always give us a call here at the shop, 828-245-0306, and we'll be happy to see if we can accommodate you and help you in any way we can with getting you the kits that you want. Be sure, guys, and come back next week to learn another fun project, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!